Thank you everyone for joining us here on Big Talk. I'm Agumofwegbe. This is Global Television. We're live in Abuja, Nigeria's capital. We continue our conversation on the war between Israel and Palestine and all of the developments, at least the highlights of those. In the last couple of days, we understand for the third day, the President of the United States, Joe Biden, has been in Israel. Of course, he had talks with the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu. He has also assured that Israel and U.S. continue to be allies, whether it has to do with this particular war or any other matters going forward. Of course, before that, we had seen Antony Blinken, the U.S. Secretary of State, there on the ground, also the redoubling, if you like, efforts towards ensuring that their alliance with the Israelis continues to be formidable, or as Joe Biden himself put it, rock solid. As a matter of fact, the U.S. president has also talked about some $100 million that is now being given to those affected by this war, of course, basically Israel, to ensure that they are able to provide essentials for families in the face of this very ugly incident. But are we going to continue to prosecute a war when the issue that led to it in the first instance, spanning decades, several decades, is in pursuit of peace and what the Palestinians now call, or have always called, illegal occupation? One would have thought by now the conversation would be around ceasefire. Why haven't we seen all of that just yet? I'm joined by Idris Shaib. He's a foreign affairs analyst here to help us find sense in all of these developments coming out of this war. It's always a delight to have you here on our program.
Thank you for hosting me.
Great. So let's begin from that part where the U.S. president shows up in Israel, meets with Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, and then he gives reassurances as to the alliance between the U.S. and Israel. Doesn't that also once again make the pursuit of peace or realization of peace further from both Israel and Palestine?
Thank you very much. You know, anytime I'm in your studio, I'm always happy. But for the past 13 to 14 days, I'm not happy because human beings are at war. You know, we have experienced wars in the history of humanity: First World War, Second World War, Vietnam War, Middle East War. You know, Nagorno-Karabakh war between Azerbaijan and Armenia. You know, Ukraine, Russia crisis currently now, and now Gaza war. You know, you asked me about United States,
right?
Joe Biden support for aid for the victims. If you look at the official tone of the United States, they didn't define, you know, the quest for the Palestinians. You know, there is a way they see it. They define Hamas as terrorist group. But for the Palestinians, you know, they are freedom fighters for the Palestinians to have their freedoms.
Protecting themselves.
Protecting themselves. Even though they operate in Gaza, they are Shiite athletes. So they have some divisions there too that is blocking for them to have their freedom. But we should not go into that deeply. We should focus on the current issue there now. Because Joe Biden, the President of the United States and his Western allies, they have a very role to play here. You know, for former U.S. presidents, anytime this is not the first time. You know, if we say we should go to the history of what is happening in the Middle East, particularly between the Hamas and the Israel, you know, between Palestine first, because Hamas is a group between Palestinians and the Israel. We all know the remote cause, you know, that is 1948 when United Nations here, calls for two-state solution.
Right.
United States calls for two-state solution, but along the line, the Western world, they supported Israel, for its independence. This led to catastrophe that have uprooted Palestinians from their ancestral home. Over 9,000, and many dies during that time. And since that time, they scatter across the world. They were trying to, and Israeli's occupation continues. So you see, and this is because of the support of the United States and its Western allies. Now we should narrow it to the modern history because we don't have much time. United States here, the past president, let me say Bill Clinton, George Bush, Barack Obama, anytime there's a problem there, you see them, they will have, the only United States national interest is for the protection of the interests of the Israel. But in the same vein, they also call for two-state solution. That is the aspiration of the United Nations. But here, Biden have shifted that traditional foreign policy. Even before this time, he has somehow, reduced the emphasis of the Middle East problem to China. China even was a deal broker between between Saudi Arabia and Iran, that are regional rivals there. So, but because of the current issue, Biden has shifted. He has redefined U.S. foreign policy. In fact, he didn't even the last attack on the Al-Ahli hospital in Gaza. Biden, he said he was saddened. But he didn't condemn. He did not condemn
that action.
That action. He did not condemn the Israel. He said they are going to wait for intelligent information from the Israel. But Israeli information came out that they denied that it was the Hamas.
So has that matter died a natural death right now?
Yes, it's very complicated, But for the Palestinians, the attack is from the Israel. No. In fact, both parties are undermining international law. Let's
talk about ceasefire, because usually when you have this kind of conflict, which has now become a war, you start talking about ceasefire, whether at the UN level or amongst the regional powers. I mean, of course, you have Iran, you have Saudi Arabia, you have Jordan, you have the UAE, you have Qatar, and so on and so forth. Of course, Egypt is somewhere in the mix as well.
Yes.
We have not seen all of that happen. To even think that Joko Widodo, the president of Indonesia, 2 days ago, came out and outrightly condemned it and said his country, Indonesia, can't continue to watch this kind of madness go on. So why are we not seeing this intense conversation, this push for ceasefire?
Let me tell you, thank you very much. The reason why we are not seeing serious attention for a ceasefire is because of the division in the international system. Before I go into that, we have to understand who are the actors that cause this, who are to be blamed. Briefly, United States factor is very, very important here. But the Arab world, Palestine, they are Arab. They are from the Arab. They are Arabs. They are Palestinians, but Arab Muslims. The Arab was there for long. They've abandoned the Palestinian quest for freedom. They've restored their ties with Israel due to some reasons, particularly agriculture. We all know Israel is advanced in science and technology. And, Middle East, there is you have to apply irrigation for your farming. So because of that, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Jordan, Egypt, and all that, they all, rekindle their relationship. Let me just strike out Saudi Arabia for now, because they are trying to restore their ties. They even pause it because of the attack on the Ahali because of the current conflict between Hamas and Israel. Saudi Arabia has fought, but majority of the Arab, Qatar, UAE, they have restored their ties with
Israel.
Also, they are also allies to Palestine. You can see how complicated it is. That is why
interest on both sides.
Interest from both sides. It's only Iran, a non-Arab world in the Middle East, that came out, to
very firm on their position for the Palestinians.
For the Palestinians, Another culprit in this crisis is Benjamin Netanyahu, because when he came as prime minister, he abandoned peace process. About Oslo agreement and the Accord and the Abraham
of course, the Camp David one, Camp David two.
He abandoned this peace process, because the far right, Naftali Bennett and the Yellow people, all those far right, the oppositions in
Israel.
They told him that if you really want to stay in the office as prime minister, we are not ready to cede any land to Palestinians. He danced to their tune. He changed, he redefined Israel national interest. That occupation of the land should continue, and the Israelites should, wherever they are across the world, they should come back and stay. That is what Benjamin Netanyahu, he should be held responsible for what is happening in the Middle East currently. It was because of his action that led to the destruction in the Middle East, in the Gaza, that has affected both the Israelis, on the October 7th attack, and even the Palestinians in Gaza themselves. You asked about a ceasefire. We should not go into who are to blame deeply. The ceasefire here, because at this moment now, humanity is in shambles. So what we need, what is happening there is not pleasant. What we need now is peace. We should all advocate for peace. Now, you cannot call for peace easily like that. We have institutions, United Nations. It is that platform that these actors that are involved in this conflict gather to air their views, and also, but 2 times now, the United Nations Security Council, an organ that is saddled with maintenance of global peace and security, an organ that is saddled with sanctioning terrorist culprits, any actor that go against international law, it is this organ that we take necessary action. We saw George Bush unilaterally invaded Iraq and Afghanistan
over some allegations of possession of weapons of mass destruction.
Very good. We saw Vladimir Putin in 2014 annexed Crimea Peninsula, and in 2022 February he invaded Ukraine itself under he didn't call it invasion. That definition is coming from the West, but he called it a special military operation for his own national interests. That is, by the way, the reason why you are not seeing seriousness on the ceasefire. It was because of the division among the actors. The first, when the United Nations Security Council called for a meeting during this crisis, Russia drafted resolution for a ceasefire. U.S. being Russia is a permanent member.
Of the UN Security Council.
UN Security Council. You have 15 members, 5 have veto, and 10 are elected for 2 years. Have been saying this, in
the case of Africa.
Even in this platform, Now, United States veto the drafted resolution from Russia. UK supported it. The drafted resolution called for a ceasefire and humanitarian aid for both sides. Now, United Nations ambassador, U.S. United Nations to U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, Ambassador Greenfield Thomas, you know, she rejected, she vetoed it. They even trash it. They trash it. The same thing, United Kingdom ambassador to United Nations, you know, veto Albania and all that. But 5 countries supported Russia's drafted resolution. You know, Gabon, even we have African country there. Gabon, you know, China, Russia itself, you know, among others. They supported Russia drafted resolution. Some members abstained because they are allies of these big players. So for them to survive on the world stage, they have to play hide and seek. You know, they abstain. It's allowed in the international system. This is what is affecting maintenance of global peace and security. The second, we also had another resolution. Because Brazil is currently the president of the United Nations Security Council, but Brazil is not a permanent member, is a non-permanent member. Brazil itself now called for another resolution. The following day, calls for another resolution for pause in humanitarian, you know, aid in humanitarian. Could you believe that United States vetoed, abstained? He vetoed it, rather. UK abstained in this. That is why I said what is happening here, the international players, what they are doing is complicated the whole thing there. You know, it's as if, because we cannot allow this conflict to be managed by Israel and Palestine.
True.
It requires external support. You know, we have to the world has to be deliberate for achieving peace in the Middle East and beyond. You know, but the interest of these players is, you know, is not helping matters.
I want us to talk about a couple of other issues now, because as of today, we understand that a few days ago, the Israelis had told the occupants of Gaza, over 1 million of them, we understand, to evacuate because there was going to be an all-round bombardment, ground, sea, and air. And of course, we're seeing condemnation from across the world to say, look, this is unrealistic, this is inhuman, and so on and so forth. All right, all of that seems to be history now because it is what it is as of today. But what are the specific things now that must be done to find peace? Because on the one hand, yes, there's need for ceasefire as quickly as possible. But in the final analysis, there has to be a kind of closure to this matter so we don't have to come back to... A lot of people say until there's peace in the Middle East, there won't be peace in the world. It may be difficult to connect the dots, but that's a bit fundamental, isn't it?
Yes, I agree with you. You know, the bombardment of the multiple bombardment from the Israel on the Palestinians in Gaza is against international law and international humanitarian law. In fact, it has violated Article 54 of the Geneva Convention of 1977. In the same vein, the Hamas, because when that rocket hit Tel Aviv, Israel, you know, they've captured. They have some. Don't forget that they have some hostages with them from Israel, and
that's the Hamas.
They said they are going to slaughter them on the TV. By that, if they do that, it has violated Article 13 of the Geneva Convention of 1949. So by this standard, even Article 14 of The Hague, you know, by this, both parties are indicted here. But for Israel to carry out, let me just say, there's a way I want to define it, you know, mutual assured destruction.
Mutually assured destruction. You know, what they call MAD.
MAD. You know, if you kill 2 Israel, Israel will kill 10 Palestinians. That is, you know, Israel has a broader definition of victory. Palestine on the other side has a narrow definition of victory. You know?
So ultimately, from what you're saying, the implication is Palestine has more to lose than the Israelis.
Yes, they have more to lose because it is very clear that they have more, let me just say, deliberate actors supporting them. That is the United States and its Western allies. You know, but Palestine here, the Arab world, Saudi Arabia, for example, being the big brother in that region, and its rival, even though they are trying to restore their ties, but there is still a lot of issues.
That's Saudi and Iran.
And they are Saudi being the big brother in that region. Is not that there is no much sincere support from that side. I said it before that it was only Iran that is supporting, that came out boldly and supporting Iran. Now, the what's it called? United States here. What was that your question?
Yeah, we're talking about the issue of the bombardments.
The bombardment.
The bombardments, right? Yes, the implication of it.
Exactly. You know, I said is against international.
And then how that the ultimate goal ought to be finding peace, even though in the immediate we are calling for ceasefire.
The best way to address this issue is to understand the root cause.
Okay, how we got here.
How we got here. And also United Nations being the global body and from its mandate, you know, maintenance of global peace and security, global cooperation among others. You know, I think we need something practical on this. Then the actors, the member states of the United Nations, and also the front liners in this crisis, United States and the Western allies, Palestine and its ally, you know, Hezbollah guerrillas, Iran, Russia, you know, all these actors need to, you know, agree that there should be peace. And also, very, very important, Palestine and Israel, they need to understand that they should have mutual rights for existence.
So they can both live side by side.
Yes. And again, for us to achieve peace, United States, I keep emphasizing on United States because it has, Israel is a, I've said it in different fora, it's a terra cognita for United States. Very, very, very important. United States here should not play a double face. You know, we don't need double standard. You know, you should not have a partisan interest in the same vein, you know, a mediator. You know,
there's a conflict already.
There's a conflict already. So, and we need to address it. Let us all focus on peace. You know, achieving peace in the Middle East and beyond. You know, we all have a role to play here in achieving peace.
You know,
Middle East.
Of course, there's no doubt in the fact that peace is needed in the Middle East. Yes. I mean, especially as it has to do with Israel and Palestine. But then there have always been questions around this international law. You know, some scholars, some followers of international development will say, look, in theory, yes, there's the international law, but when push comes to shove, it becomes a different kind of fish. One instance they readily cite is when Bin Laden was taken out in Pakistan. The circumstances around how the U.S. had carried out that operation at the time. Of course, it was former President, Barack Obama, who was leading the U.S. at the time. But again, exactly, going forward, these are issues we'll continue to discuss. But in the meantime, I'd like to say thank you to you.
Okay.
Yes.
You know, let me just say it briefly.
We're out of time.
The reason why some players are behaving like this, let me go to realism. It's because of these 5 assumptions. We know there's anarchy. There's anarchy that spells that states are the only actors in international system. That is why Benjamin Netanyahu and US, they are behaving like this. Then the second one is military capability. Right. Some states have strong military capability
than others.
So, yes. Then we have uncertainty. You know, the reason why you see heavy military in the Eastern Mediterranean by the United States, and also 300,000 reservists in the Hamas corridor is because of uncertainty. Because if you are not powerful, somebody will come, another nation will
and run you over.
Yes, survivor also here is the ultimate goal of every nation. So Benjamin Netanyahu is trying to survive. They want occupation. They want the land. So, and that is how states are also strategic
in their thinking.
They are rational. So that is why you see countries are behaving on the worst.
Excellent. So again, we are, of course, ultimately we do. Thank you for coming to share with us today. We appreciate it. And that's our show for today. Thank you for watching. I'm Uyag Mofwegbe. This is Global Television.